All right, welcome everybody to the 2607 Inside Scoop. Yeah, as always, I just want to thank everybody for contributing your ideas, your thoughts, your testing, your review of stuff after it's done, and also to all of the developers and QA people and documentation people that are doing stuff. We have those filled out now for developers, although we do periodically add people during the test period. And then we'll be filling out the testing and documentation links as we get closer to release. So thank you to everybody who tests. We have some amazing people that do lots of testing for us, which is great. And just a reminder, if you don't know how to test or how to fill out JIRA afterwards, we do as part of the Inside Scoop from 2606, we did a demo of that. So if you're curious, feel free to refer back to that, and that's up on our YouTube channel. And Jordan posted a link in the notes or in the chat. All right, without further ado, let's start with some of the stuff here. So LiDA is a major change. It is not super exciting to demo, but we changed out the underlying components for most screens. So this was DIS 2525, which was sponsored by CLEVNET and Minuteman. We still had a bunch of screens that were using an older UI framework called Native Base. We updated everything to Gluestack v1. We were hoping to get to v2 or v3, but that's another major change. So we will tackle that a little bit separately. Let's look at what that looks like. Let's see. So here's my emulator. All right. So it looks very much the same by default. So it looks the same, even though things like the account drawer are completely changed out. Some things to look at are spacing is going to be potentially a little bit different on the screens that changed. There's a list of every screen that changed within the release notes. And so some of the layouts may have changed. Some of the colors may have changed. Those colors were still, the theming was still using native base. So that means the colors everywhere could have been touched. I think we got most of them, but while prepping for the demo, I noticed one, just so I'll show it to you so that you can see. So like here, this icon should be the same color as the text color. So we will fix that during the beta period. But those are the kind of things to look out for and call out if you see differences. We've been doing a lot of running two apps simultaneously next to each other, one running 2606 and one running the 2607 beta. So that's all good. I did also want to show, I promised last time that I would show the error log that we did in 2606. So if you click on the More button and go to Preferences and Support and open API error log, it will give you a list of everything that is that has been called for the last 24 hours. You can click into it and see the response. So here we can see that we got information about saved searches. This is exceedingly useful for us for debugging. So it is a wonderful thing. You may or may not use it, but we definitely do. All right, switching back over to Discovery. We made some updates for DP.LA. So this is DIS 2536. And it allows us to filter specific DP.LA results. So sometimes DP.LA thing has things that are maybe a little bit objectionable in terms of general audiences, are just irrelevant, maybe don't have covers. So while people can still go to DP.LA and find those, you will have the ability to remove them off of your catalog if you choose to. So now we can see it. We're doing a search for sunburn, and let's refresh this so that we show our title that we didn't want. So here we've got sunburn. It is a, it's just missing the image. So we're going to go ahead and hide that. We're going to right click on this, copy that link, we'll go back to, well, under third-party enrichment, under DP.LA settings, DP.LA exclusions. If you click on that, you get to the exclusions link. We'll do an add new and save those changes. And now when we refresh, now we're not going to see it anymore. So you can get rid of objectionable content or content that's not really valid or important to promote. People can still see all of it if they want. And yeah, like we said, it's not going to get to number 6, 7, etc. So just be careful with what you're removing. Useful functionality for people that don't want to see all of that. Moving on now. Updates to explore more. So somebody had noticed that when we did a search for like fiction, it would present the explore more with information that wasn't really relevant. So basically what Aspen tries to do is if you're doing a blank search, it's applying the facets to the explore more in order to try to get you relevant results. So the fun one that somebody did was, oh, and this is DIS 2533, which was sponsored by Orange County. So the fun one they did was, if you did a search for format of cereal, it was giving you explore more related to like serial killers, which was not what people were expecting on the explore more. So we changed that functionality. So instead of looking at every facet to see if it applied, we updated and said, let's get rid of my series and serials. We updated it to only look at specific ones. So it's looking at basically subject-based facets. So if we do a search for, let's use computers, we should get some good explore more out of that. So we'll get our regular search results, and then the explore more will pop in here. We've got computers out of CloudSource OA. We've got some series. We've got a page. And we can get into any of those. This will work kind of across catalogs still. So if you're just doing your facet-based searches, people will still get their explore more. It'll just not be for weird stuff that you don't expect. So that's really nice. Nice to clean that functionality up. Next is related to grouped work descriptions, which is DIS 2556, which was sponsored by SWAN. Previously, what happened is this description was the description for all formats, no matter what. So if a particular format had a description that was better, we wouldn't necessarily see it. So here, let's just open the ebook, and we can see that's got a lot more information. And the same thing with the audio book. If we look at that, it's got more information. So good functionality there to make sure that people understand the description of the actual format they're reading. The description of the grouped work itself didn't change at all. So that's good. Next one to call out some updates that Open5th has been making for internationalization. So this is a bunch of JIRA numbers. So it's DIS 1585, DIS 2605, DIS 2606, and DIS 2288. And that's a lot of internationalization just related to date-time formats to make sure that things appear properly in the UK. especially as we're doing more and more with events, and we're showing a lot more dates now. It is important to show them properly for the user's region, and also more with currencies. So both of those things are really updated. So thank you to OpenFifth for doing those. More work by OpenFifth, so some Koha updates. So first is DIS 2349 and DIS 1345, which is showing any fees associated with holds and renewals. And that right now is just for Koha, but if you do have fees for either renewing titles or placing holds on titles or checking things out, and you need to display messages to patrons that, hey, you might pay a fee for this thing. The framework for that is in place now for other ILSs. And then also DIS 1938, also done by OpenFifth, relates to doing self-renewal within Koha. So if you have a patron that is expired or close to expiration, there is logic to being able for them to be able to self-renew if you allow it. A few more things that I'll talk about. I'm going to switch over to release notes here. Jump down to our Polaris section. So for Polaris, we did some updates to allow the display of middle name within the account. So if your display name can now be set to like first initial, middle initial, last name, or first name, middle name, last initial, and that works for Polaris. Polaris stores the middle names in a different field, so that was really easy to pull out and display. And then also for Polaris, we will update patron information for their preferred pickup location. So you'll be able to, it will load it by default, the pickup location by default, and save it if the patron changes it, so that Polaris and Aspen stay in sync. So nice functionality there. Next, wanted to talk one more that OpenFifth has done. So DIS 1689, which is allowing reports like usage data to be viewed by day. So additional resolution on that. Previously, it was just by month and year. You can now do it by day. So good functionality there for reporting. All right, back to some series or some search stuff. So, oh, and I may have forgot to mention DIS 2530 and DIS 2531 for Polaris, both sponsored by Lynx. So thank you to them for sponsoring that functionality. All right, search updates. So first, let's just do a blank search here. So this is DIS 2534, sponsored by Orange County. Previously, what happened with the audiobook durations and some other ones. So if we do, let's do a search for books or audiobooks with a duration from 5 to 8 hours. Previously, this wasn't labeled, so it would just say 5 to 8, and you had to kind of guess as to what it was, which was okay until you had multiple things like, let's do an AR reading level from, let's do 4 to 8. So we've got the AR reading value of that, and we want a point value from 6 to 12. So now you can easily know which one to close it, and you don't have to remember which did I do 4 to 8, which did I do 6 to 12. So good functionality there, definitely makes it more clear. Also, author page scoping improvements. So this is DIS 2538. The idea here is if we are searching, so WYLD has things set up so that by default, they are searching the local library, but you can also search all libraries. Just takes a while to get things, so we want to promote the local collections within the consortium. So if we go back here, we're searching all libraries. If we click into a author, so for something where we own it, we were getting search results. So in this case, we had 2. There's 3 across the library. That's great. We can see that. The problem happened when you didn't own anything by a library or by the author. So if Natrona doesn't own anything by, go back one more, doesn't own anything by Peggy Henderson, when we clicked into that, it would just give an error that there was nothing there. We're now showing all of the results, and you can click through and see all of the titles that she wrote so that you can get those, even if Natrona doesn't own them. So it's just automatically switching it to all libraries, which is the same thing that we do if you do a search. So if we did a regular search for her, by author, then it just automatically does the switch for you, and you don't have to worry about doing it. So same functionality there, really helpful to patrons to be able to navigate and get to what they want. All right, we have some series updates as well. We're really excited about the series updates. We're continuing to do fun things and neat things with those. So the series updates. So first we'll talk about DIS 2390, which is sponsored by Metropolitan. And this gives us the ability, while we're viewing a series record, to be able to group things, which is great because within a series is one of the places where it's really easy to see duplicates, because we can sort them by volume or we can sort them by title. We see a very condensed group. So here we can say, and this is a little bit tricky because we've got the book and the e-comic, which we are going to leave separate. I would actually, working on this series, I would do more to actually split those apart. But here we've got, so here we've got The Brightest Night, which we've got 2 different versions of. We can now just click the group with. This works the same way that it does within the search results. So we can say The Brightest Night by Sutherland 2ET is going to be the definitive primary grouped work. We'll group that, and then everything will happen as normal in terms of grouping. So just a nice shortcut there to help improve how things get grouped. We also now have the ability to group series. So, and I might not do Wings of Fire, and I apologize a little bit. I've got to group series, they need to be series version 2 series, and I'm still in the process of upgrading everything to version 2. So I don't know if you can see the little hover, but this first one is version 1. It's in the process of getting cleaned out. These 2 are both version 2. So what we will do is we can decide which one we want to be primary. We can then group with, so this is saying Wings of Fire without an author. We're going to group onto Wings of Fire with the author's name. We will group it, and then they will be consolidated. This one will then get suppressed when the index runs, and just the new one will display. All of the content gets merged across the 2, so that you don't have to worry about individually moving every single title. It accounts for duplicates and that kind of thing. So should be a really fast, easy way to merge duplicates series. So this was doing a series search. So here, let's do another one. So I just went into administer series and found something with a lot of duplicates. So I'm doing a series search now. So I'm just going to do a search for Adventures of Sherlock Holmes Doyle in the series title within the series search index. And when I do that search, I get 7 different results. Some of these, again, are version 1. So the top one's a version 1. The second one's a version 2. The third one is version 2. All of these are the same. I'm going to say group version 3 with version 2. And that will update automatically. And the Chinese ones, again, that's a version 1, version 2 thing. The Sherlock Holmes adventure ones potentially could get grouped. I don't know the series well enough, but potentially all of these could get grouped onto that main one as well. And that would give patrons more information. So nice way to clean up series search. Really excited about that. All right, next. Oh, so merging the series records, that's DIS 2398, sponsored by SWAN. And if I didn't mention before, the author scoping was DIS 2538. So back here, DIS 2538, sponsored by WYLD. Okay, next we have some Symphony updates. So this is first DIS 2393, which is sponsored by Prairie Lakes. And this is allowing multiple holds on a single title to happen at one time. So there is a new option called Enable Multi-Copy Holds. This is disabled by default, and it's only available for Symphony. So with this on, if I do a search for, I've just done a search for Emma, and I'm going to place a hold. And down here, it allows me to choose a number of copies. So I can say I would like, instead of 1 copy, I want 3 copies. And I will submit that hold request. And this is a local machine, so I don't have up-to-date availability. So sometimes it will place a hold and something's already checked out. Let's find... Let's do, so what it does do in that case is it will try to place as many holds as it can. So here we can see we did actually get 2 of them placed. We'll work on a better message for that during the beta period, but let's cancel these ones. Okay, and let's try. So here, let's place a hold on Sense and Sensibility. And we'll try 3 again. Okay, so we got a couple of them. We'll update this. What it's doing is it's placing item level holds. The holds are based off of the patron's home location first, and then anything within their hold groups. On Symphony, there's hold groups, which are kind of nearby libraries that can blend back and forth to each other a little bit more quickly. And so it will do those, and then it will go out to everybody. So the idea is to be able to place multiple holds if you're in a book group or something like that, and then be able to expand out as you get through. So there we got, for our holds, we got in this case, it just did the first one. So we will get a better error message there if there's not enough, or if something is in use. The other thing that Prairie Lakes sponsored was DIS 2529, which is self-registration municipality support. This is similar to Sierra. I'm going to show the setup for this. It's hard to show the actual self-registration process because basically the information gets saved into the back end, and it's hard to show the back end during this demo. So we'll show the setup. This is based off the work done for Sierra that Nicholas sponsored 6 months ago, a year ago. The idea is you define your different municipalities. So cities, towns, villages, whatever is applicable. Then we will use when the patron types in their address, we geolocate backwards to say, okay, what is the city, town, village that it is part of? And based off that information, we can apply additional information to the ILS for that record. So nice functionality, helps keep our ILSs in track, in check, and yeah, useful for that. So thank you to Prairie Lakes for doing that. Next, we have DIS 2532, which is sponsored by Lynx. And for anybody that's been paying attention to Lynx, they've done some really neat stuff with a full width display of Aspen. So previously you could make your header the full width of Aspen for very large screens, but the content was always restricted based off size. They've done a lot to make that work at larger screens, and then they sponsored work to let all of us do that, which is great. So there, within your themes, there's a new option to make the content full width. When we save that, now, so previously this was without, we will refresh and browse categories are shown full width. If we do a search for cats, then we get that content full width. And part of this is making sure that the width of the filter bar and stuff is the correct width for a wide screen. So previously when you did this, it would go out like significantly farther and basically take up a lot of room within the user interface, which was annoying. So yeah, we've got full width view there, and it works well. There's likely tweaks that we will need to make as people play with it more, just to try to make sure that the spacing is right. There's a lot of little tweaks that Lynx has found to help make that look better already. So those are already applied. So that's it for the demo for today. And once again, thanks everybody for all of your great contributions and ideas.